Hello there, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a road trip vlog.
Road trip!
Although that's kind of overpromising. It's more of a mini road trip. I am heading to San Antonio for the next few days to attend the ISTE and ASCD conference. Now, I'm bringing you along with me because I'm flying solo, which means I'll probably get lonely. As I mentioned, I am heading to San Antonio, which is only about an hour and a half south of Austin, for the next few days to attend the ISTE and ASCD conference. Now, I have attended ISTE before. In fact, I actually presented at ISTE back in 2019, I think it was, and I attended last year in Denver as a part of FIGMA, which they are the creators behind FigJam. It's a free online digital whiteboard, and I helped to run their section at the expo, did a couple of sessions. I think I vlogged it. If so, I will link that video for you down below. But I've never attended the ASCD conference, so I'm really excited that they kind of merged or blended the two this year. And if you get a ticket, you can actually attend both. So I most likely will be going to a combination of sessions, some ISTE, some ASCD. I know there's also a virtual session, so this year it's super easy for me to attend since it's in San Antonio. But if you live somewhere and it's not easy to get to one of the conferences, keep in mind they do have a virtual option. But as I mentioned, I am flying solo. I'm not there with any company. I'm not presenting. I'm just attending the conference from the teacher perspective. So that's why I wanted to bring you along. That way I can kind of share my thoughts as I go. But first, I gotta head to San Antonio. It's not a super far drive. I'm leaving around noon, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I'm escaping a lot of the traffic. It is currently Sunday. I didn't mention that. It is Sunday, June 29th. Yes, go me, I got the date. I'm a little tired only because Billy and I went to a concert last night, which I'm not usually a big concert goer, but we saw Blue October at the Moody Amphitheater, which is like an outdoor venue in downtown Austin. And Blue October, fun fact, they were the first concert I ever went to. It was on my 18th birthday, like almost 15 years ago. So it was cool to go back and experience that. But as a result, we got home kind of late. I had to get up early to go to the gym, get my training session in this morning, pack, all of that fun stuff. But I'm getting on the road. I've got my coffee, so I'm gonna caffeinate on the way, get checked into the hotel, and then I'll catch up with you then. So the original idea was to record some B-roll of me unpacking, and then I realized I'm a horrible vlogger, completely neglected to bring any kind of tripod. So as I tell my students, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. But we're gonna do a little hotel haul. I'm gonna show you some of the things I brought with me. I also went to the grocery store. If you saw my last vlog, then you know I was dealing with some, let's just say, digestive issues post-travel, which is to be expected. However, it's now been another 5 days, so we're over a week total, and we're still dealing with some issues. Therefore, I'm trying to keep my nutrition as normal for me as possible. And so I brought some things with me, and I'll kind of talk through my plan for meals and whatnot. When I checked into the hotel, they gave me 2 bottles of water, which was very appreciated. I also have my reusable water bottle, and I brought a blender bottle. I'm gonna use this at the gym for my pre-workout, which is buried somewhere in there. I also will fill this up with water and mix it with like drink packets and stuff, because I'm trying to stay well hydrated. Speaking of which, I brought with me from home, this was a Gatorade that I opened up last night when I got home from the concert, but I didn't drink a lot of it. I have another Gatorade, Glacier Cherry, best flavor, and then I have a Vitamin Water Zero. I've never had this before, but I'm sure it all basically tastes the same. Then I brought some snackies and I portioned them out, so I have my 3 days worth. These are Quest protein chips. These are like the tortilla style what is the flavor? Spicy sweet chili. This is like my favorite flavor. There we go. Now, ordinarily when I travel, I would not bring something like this with me because it's a little bulky. However, because I was driving here, I was able to bring like this extra bag of food, and I buy these in bulk on Amazon. They're cheaper than the grocery store. So, you know, we're saving some monies. Then for other snackies, I love popcorn just in general, especially if I'm at a hotel. There's nothing better than getting into bed with a little bag of popcorn to watch a movie or a show. So these are just little mini bags, so they're single serving, microwavable popcorn. And I lucked out because this room actually has a microwave in it. Usually I have to go down to the lobby, but I have a microwave in my room. By the way, I am not staying in like downtown San Antonio. I'll commute in for the conference. I'm actually staying up by the airport because it was a lot cheaper. Speaking of saving monies. And then I brought, this is like a reusable thing of utensils. I bring this almost every time I travel, but it's just fork, knife, spoon. There's also chopsticks, and it just has a nice little case, super light, convenient. I got this on Amazon. It actually came in like a 2-pack, so I'll link it for you, but it comes in handy. I brought my own salad dressing because my plan for dinner is to grab something out, bring it back to the room, but I will add this to it. We'll come back to that. I mentioned pre-workout. This is just a little reusable condiment container with my pre-workout for the gym on Tuesday. And then I have some other like energy drinks and things because I have problems. And then while I was at the grocery store, I got a few different things. First, almost every night I have like a yogurt bowl, and I wanna keep that consistent. Plus it's a good way to get in protein, but I'm only here for 3 days. So rather than getting the big tub of Greek yogurt like I usually do, I just got these individual serving sizes. So I got 3 of them since I will be here for 3 nights. So these are just plain Greek yogurt. I usually use those like drink packets and I mix it into my yogurt to give it flavor. And then I like to mix in fruit. Now, usually at home, I mix in like frozen blueberries or frozen raspberries, but I got some fresh blueberries to mix in while I was here. And I love blueberries because I don't need to cut anything. It's very easy to just open up and use. I did get some foam bowls just because convenience. I'll take the rest of them home with me. And then I also got, just as a little snack whenever I want it, these are like Jell-O packets, strawberry flavor. This is an 8-pack, so I'll probably use like 2 or 3 at a time. But I love mixing up like Jell-O with fruit. So I got a bag of frozen berries and cherries blend. Now, if you've ever stayed at a hotel, I'm sure almost everyone has stayed at a hotel. What a not smart thing to say, Michelle. But most hotel like fridges, they'll have a little mini freezer section, but you know, it doesn't really freeze anything. But with the frozen fruit, I'm fine with it just de-thawing or thawing out and using it as I go. I also got a thing of protein bars, pure protein. This is not my favorite protein bar, but it's cheap and it tastes good enough. And it has 20 grams of protein per bar. I really like the galactic brownie flavor. It's kind of like a cosmic brownie. Ordinarily, I would pack that from home, but I was actually low on protein bars. So I was like, I'll just grab them when I get here. And then going back to dinner. So I've been on a big salad kick lately just to get in A, some fiber, and B, some veggies, and it's cold, so in the summer it tastes good. But rather than trying to get all the supplies for my salads, because I like to pile it on there. Like, if you don't like salads, it's probably because you're doing it wrong. The way I make my salads, it's so good because there's so many things in there. But I don't want to buy all the ingredients and try to prep it in a hotel room. So instead, I'm gonna go to Jason's Deli, which it's like a chain deli type of place, but they have a salad bar. It's technically an unlimited salad bar, so if you eat in, you can just like get as much as you want. I love doing that.
I didn't put caprese salad in my drawer, Michael. Did you?
But since I'm staying here at a hotel, I'm just gonna get it to go, but I'll load up the salad bar container with all of my salad fixings, and then I'm gonna add some turkey meat as my protein. You can add protein at Jason's Deli, but it's an extra charge. I was like, you know what? It'll be much cheaper for me just to get a thing of turkey. Again, I don't have to worry about prepping anything. I just open it up, add it to my salad. I was gonna get the HEB brand in a smaller container. This one was on sale and not expired. So I got the Oscar Mayer. This is the like fresh cracked black pepper deli turkey, like nothing fancy, but this was cheaper than getting the smaller container. So I'll have plenty of this, which is good. And then I mentioned the salad dressing. I do bring my own just because I like what I like. But that is all the stuff that I brought with me in terms of the hotel room. Now, I need to unpack my actual clothes and things. Are you team unpack when you get to a hotel, or do you just live out of the suitcase? I do like to unpack when I can, and I've got the time. I'm gonna relax just a little bit. Again, my tummy's just not feeling great. And then tonight, I am actually heading out to meet up with the FIGMA team again. It's gonna be like old times. They invited me to their little community dinner that they're having to kind of kick off the first night of ISTE. And I was so honored to be invited because I'm not there with them this year, but I still love them and they're awesome to just hang out with, cool people, and it's nice to be invited to things. So I'm gonna go to that and then come back here. I'm gonna try to get in bed early the next few nights. Those are famous last words for me, but I really am gonna try because I'm feeling a little fatigued, a little tired, and I've got to get up early tomorrow. So we're gonna try to get in bed early. It is the next day. I am in my car about to head to the conference. It's around a 15-minute drive, but I feel good because I kind of got the lay of the land yesterday. Whenever I'm in a area or a place that I haven't been to before, I always want to know, like, where do I need to park? Where do I need to walk to? What's the map look like? And thankfully last night, because the restaurant where I was meeting the FIGMA team was right by the convention center, I said, you know what? If I've got to pay for parking anyway, let me go ahead, get my badge, whoop, whoop, and kind of figure out where everything is. So I feel good going in this morning. I'm pretty sure of all the days, today is my busiest day. What I do love about the ISTE conference is they have an app and it makes it really, really easy. You go through, you pick all of your sessions, and then there's also maps built in. So for example, if I click on like my first session this morning, which it's currently like 7 o'clock. My first session starts at 8. You can click on a map and then it'll load and it'll show you like exactly where it is on the map, which I really appreciate. But I went through, I already mapped out where my sessions are today that I want to attend. Obviously it's flexible and like a session might be full or I might have to kind of shift gears, but I at least have a game plan and that makes me feel good. Also, I have 2 cups of coffee, one for the ride there and then one to carry in with me. I have so much to share. I'm gonna try to go through this rapid fire. When I attend conferences like this, I just keep an ongoing note in my notes app with links to things and the little tidbits that I wanna remember. I used to be the person that would sit there and vigorously take notes throughout the session, but then I'm not engaged in actually listening to the content. So now I try to just get like 1 or 2 takeaways from sessions. I went to a panel and it was all about different AI tools. And honestly, this was my takeaway, nothing AI related. There's so much AI. And I purposely tried to go to some other sessions, but one of the presenters on the panel used the term cave dwellers, and she was referring to like colleagues that are kind of hesitant or resistant to try like new technologies. So CAVE stands for Colleagues Against Virtually Everything, and I thought that was hilarious. I'd never heard that before. And my favorite session was actually the very last one that I went to. It was all about using brain science to teach math in a way that makes it figure-outable. And oh my gosh, it took so many notes, but here are a few things. Obviously, we know like learning doesn't exist in isolation. It develops as a result of connections that we make. So being able to link things we already know to the new information. And honestly, for me, that's where I really see a big asset in AI. If I know, all right, I need to figure out how to make this math lesson connect to my students, the more I get to know my students and the more I know their personalities, their interests, their cultures, all of that, then I can use AI to say, hey, what is a way that I can hook my students on this math topic and have it relate to Harry Potter or whatever it is that my students are into. So that was a little connection that I made just with all of the AI, because I personally am not utilizing AI for a lot. I'm purposely kind of just giving it distance and trying to find the ways to make it work for me. Also in that session, she talked a lot about how students' emotional relationship to math is foundational for their cognitive relationship, meaning they have to feel safe, they have to feel comfortable. And I felt honestly very validated during the session. A lot of the things that they pointed out, I was like, oh, I already do that. But it was more so understanding why it's important and making sure that I continue to do those things. So sessions were really good. Now, one of the sessions that I went to was on a little platform stage kind of area in the expo. And after that, I had about an hour. But then I got wrapped up in the expo and ended up missing a session. However, it was worth it because I came away with a lot of stuff. When I go to expos, I honestly try to limit the little freebies and trinkety types of things that I take because A, from a business standpoint, I know how expensive they are for the business to produce. And usually if I'm traveling, like I don't want to pack up all of this stuff to go home. Obviously this is unique because I don't live that far away. However, I still wanted to be very mindful with what I took. Now, certain things, for example, lanyards with like Kahoot and things. My students will love these. So I will use these for like prize box options. Also, I got a pair of Kahoot socks that I kind of want to keep for myself, but I will probably put these in my prize box for my students because I used Kahootopia this past year. My students loved it. So I know that that's something, for example, here's one of the stickers. Like they will be so excited to get that sticker. So I got like that. I've got another just like basic Kahoot sticker. Also Scratch. My students love Scratch for like coding and then like the little Scratch cat. And I got some Prodigy. It's been a long day, y'all. Prodigy stickers. Also Kahoot, shout out to Kahoot, they were awesome. That was one of the first booths that I stopped by and I got to talk to someone kind of more behind the scenes and just like give suggestions of like, oh, it'd be really cool if you added this or how about this? And they gave me some little capes, which then I can give to my students after we do a Kahoot and it usually gives the leaderboard of like first, second, third place. How cute is that? Love that. Other than Kahoot, I also went to Scratch just to kind of get some information because my students love Scratch, but just trying to think of other ways to utilize it rather than just like an early finisher during science time. Padlet, so y'all know I've been using Padlet for years and years and years. They have Sandbox, which is essentially a replacement for Jamboard. Now y'all know I love FigJam as a replacement for Jamboard, but if you're already using Padlet, that's a great option because I'm a big supporter of not trying to learn all the tools, but rather finding the few that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, or you can get, you know, the most juice for your squeeze, if you will. Then there were several that just kind of caught my eye and I would get the little spiel, but I need to look into them more. I saw this one, they mentioned it one of the sessions and I walked by the booth. So Brisk Teaching. It looked like a Google Chrome like add-on that you can then utilize on multiple different platforms like Google Slides, YouTube, PDFs, etc. And it's like an AI teaching tool. So that looked interesting. This was Lumio, which is by Smart. Now, Lumio, it kind of seems similar to like some things that I already have. And again, that's where I'm like, I need to find what differentiates them. What was this, Genially? This was a way to like make things more interactive. I need to look into that more. This, oh, I remember hearing about Whitebook a while ago. They're basically these like dry erase flip charts. And it's funny because when I saw them, the first thing I thought about was that Building Thinking Classrooms, which was a book that I read, I think last summer, and he talks about having these vertical workspaces for students. I'm like, oh, that would be perfect for that. So I need to maybe look into, you know, investing in some of those. I mentioned Prodigy. So if you have been around for a while and you've been following me, you may remember when I taught second grade, so we're talking back in like 2016, I used Prodigy with my students for math and I kind of forgot about it. So I was happy to see them there. I might look at incorporating this for the next school year, but it's basically their games and students love them and you can target like specific math or reading skills. I've only ever used it for math, but it's all free and it's engaging for students and then it's adaptive. So it will give them like practice questions and adapt from their level. Those were kind of things where I was like, okay, you know, good reminders or like companies that I kind of forgotten about. Here were two that are not really even fit like digital technology related, but I saw them and I was like, this is genius. I need to get some. So first, it was this guy, he was actually like the creator. It was just a real small little booth, but it was called NURCS, NURCS. Y'all, if you use popsicle sticks, craft sticks in your classroom for any kind of STEM or building, and you know they start gluing them together and then they end up getting thrown away. These are essentially little connectors, and he has them for different angles. So there's like the 0, the 30, the 60, the 90, and it allows you to connect craft sticks so that they can use them to build and construct things, but then they can take them apart and you can reuse the craft sticks, and you can also reuse the connectors. They're just little plastic pieces that allow them to connect together, both the thick craft sticks and the thin craft sticks. I just saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I will link, I know they're on Amazon, but I'll also try to find the website and link that for you. The other one that I found was called MAKEDO, or maybe it was MAKEDO. I'm not entirely positive, but it is a cardboard construction kit. I'm sorry, what? Like, I saw this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So the kit has basically like a little saw that is made to cut cardboard, and I was like, there's no way that it's not sharp. Sure enough, touch it. I mean, it's not even as sharp as like kids' safety scissors. Like, you touch it and it's completely fine, but you use it like a saw to cut through cardboard. Then there was a tool where you could like punch holes in the cardboard. There was a perforator that you run, and then it allows you to fold the cardboard. And then there were these little screws that you could then use to attach the pieces of cardboard together. Absolutely amazing. I sat there with the lady. Now they're based out of Australia, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now we have a maker space at our school. I think it would be great for that, but also different like STEM projects. And I love that the tools are all reusable. The little screws are reusable. So all you need is cardboard. And it's a great way to be able to like repurpose things. Obviously cardboard is pretty easy. It's at everyone's disposal. You can have students bring it in. I thought that this was genius. So she was talking about, there's a kit with 360 pieces that would basically be enough for like a class. Like, I would want to get one of those. I looked on Amazon, it's like $190, I want to say. So it's something I'll put on my Amazon wish list, and you know, maybe at some point I will get, but I love that. I thought it was so cool. That being said, my brain needs to decompress, and there's like a really bad storm coming through. When I was walking out of the expo, there were, not just the expo, the conference, it was super windy, and there were like dirt, you know, clouds getting drawn up. I'm like, yep, we're in Texas. So I'm gonna head back to my hotel and just kind of decompress for the rest of the day. But I will check in with you because we got another full day tomorrow. It is Tuesday afternoon. I just got back to my hotel. I need to go inside, change, go find a gym and get a training session in. But before I do that, I wanted to recap you on my day. Now today, for me personally, because if you've never been to ISTE, you do very much create your own schedule. You can look at the schedule of events, pop into sessions. You don't have to like pre-register for specific areas. And last night when I went through, and I always like favorite or bookmark the ones that I'm interested in, I basically created a back-to-back-to-back schedule of sessions for myself today. I did have a short, like half an hour time period to pop into the expo and just make sure I hadn't missed anything, but otherwise it was very session heavy. And it just so happened that a majority of the sessions I attended today were focused around students, classroom management, student confidence building, students esteem building, and I really enjoyed that because as much as I love the technology side of things, at the end of the day, I do what I do because I love my students. So a couple of my takeaways, let me look back at my notes. There was a session I attended about building student esteem, and I really enjoyed it because it just kind of reframed some of my thinking. She focused a lot on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I think almost every teacher is familiar with. A lot of foundational teacher education programs will teach about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But she talked about how we have deficit needs, which are like a void that need to be filled. And then we have growth needs. Those are like, you know, wanting to be better. And she kind of showed us the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and said, okay, where do you think the line is, right? Which of these are deficit needs and which are growth needs? a lot of us were thinking that the line was somewhere between love and belonging being a deficit need, and then esteem and self-actualization being growth needs. But in reality, esteem is considered a deficit need. And we talked about how there are different forms of esteem. You have self-esteem that comes from yourself and like your accomplishments, but then you also have esteem that comes from others and kind of their regard of you, popularity, things like that. And we talked about how the things that we say can either tear down or be harmful to esteem. It can boost esteem, or it can assume esteem. So for example, if I were to say, you know you can do this, well, that's me assuming that that student already has the esteem that they think they can do it, but what if they don't, right? Like, we don't always know where that student lies with their self-esteem. And if I say, you know you can do it, but then that student's like, well, no, I don't actually know that I can do it, but now I feel pressure because you think I can do it. And it just, those types of things. I was like, oh, I love this. So one of the notes that I took was about how a lot of attention-seeking behavior from students really comes from them trying to fill that deficit for esteem. And I thought that was a really interesting kind of mindset shift that I hadn't thought of before. And one quick little idea that I know I can take back to my classroom and implement right away. Let's say you're toward the end of the lesson and you had an exit ticket planned, but you didn't get far enough in the lesson to even give that exit ticket, right? Like, you already know your students are not ready for that exit ticket. Instead, give your students a sticky, an index card, it doesn't matter. Have them do a shout out for another student in the class that day that either they saw doing a great job or that really helped them, something like that. And then use that to kick off your lesson the next day. Like, read through some of the cards, give some of those shout outs. I'm like, that's so easy, but it's a great way to be able to build that esteem in students. Oh, another session that I attended, what was this one on? That's awful, I don't remember. I think it was on building student confidence. And they talked a lot about giving feedback. And this is a very simple thing, but when you give feedback, rather than almost creating that like compliment sandwich where you're like, oh, this was great, but blah, blah, blah. And then you give them another compliment at the end so they don't feel bad. Rather than saying but, saying and. So like, you did great on this, and next time I would love to see X, Y, and Z. It just frames it in a more positive way. But that being said, I still have a lot more processing to do from the day. Whenever I go to these, I'm always just taking pictures of slides. So like, if you look at my camera roll right now, it's basically just a ton of pictures of slides. So I go through and then I add content from those pictures to my notes. So I need to do that tonight. But I am gonna end the vlog here. Tomorrow is more of a condensed day. It's only like a half day. I think it ends at 2 or 2:15. So it will be much more brief, but hopefully you enjoyed just kind of hanging out with me for the past few days and maybe got some little nuggets. If you were at ISTE and said hi, I'm so happy you did. And if you weren't at ISTE this year or the ASCD conference and you're interested in going next year, as I mentioned, they do have virtual options as well. I think next year it's in Orlando. I have no idea if I'll be going or not. We shall see, but maybe this gave you an idea of what to kind of expect with the conference. But if you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I'll catch you in the next one.